Hello, everyone, and welcome to our JNUC presentation, The Hidden ROI of Jamf and How to Get There. So most of us here, most organizations represented here, we all chose Jamf for our Apple MDM needs for, generally the same reasons. For that sweet, sweet week of JNUC where we get to open up our laptops, block out our calendars, and tell everyone we're just terribly busy with the conference. Please don't email me. Well, in truth, we all picked Jamf because we probably had a blossoming Apple fleet that needed management, and well, Jamf is best in class. So boom, we got Jamf, we're Jamfing now. But in the ever-evolving Apple landscape, the unique customized nature of our environments, workflows, getting the latest, greatest out of Jamf, it can be a challenge for users and organizations. So we're going to dive into that on what sort of ROI, what sort of return should we be getting, and how can we get that? I'm Eric Pye. I'm the VP of Business Development for Rocketman. We are a Jamf only, Apple only MSP that helps companies and organizations get the most out of Jamf. And joining me is the lovely and talented Amy O'Connor.
Hey, Eric. It's so good to be here with you, and I'm just excited to talk more about this. I am Amy O'Connor, she, her, living in Eau Claire, Wisconsin, birthplace of Jamf. Always like to tag that on. I work in partner marketing, so I get to have relationships with our MSP partners and really drive home that business from a Jamf perspective. So this is a lot of fun to be able to talk to you all about what Jamf as a culture offers to all of you. And happy to be here with you, Eric. I'll send it back to you.
Thanks so much, Amy. So, like I said, we are Rocketman, and this is our team of Jamf experts. We were actually started a handful of years ago by Christopher Shazi, there front and center. And we are Apple only, Jamf only. 2/3 of our team are Jamf integrators, but everybody is a Jamf expert. And Chris started this company because he saw there's a lot of companies that after they get the jump start, it's tough to figure out where to go next with Jamf. So part of wrapping up the jumpstart is sharing some of the materials, such as the 700-page Jamf admin guide, or pointing the client in the direction of Jamf Nation. These are just the tip of the iceberg, though, if you can say that about a 700-page codex. As for what's available to you as Mac admins. A little bit more about our team. Chad is a tinker STEM master. He is a loving Beagle father, but make no mistake, he's also a human husband and general chit chat guru. Hugo as well, he's a seasoned Jamf admin. We're lucky enough to have brought him on. He still wears ties in a work from home 2021 environment, which is one of my favorite facts about him. But just like the rest of our team, he is also smarter than me. To all my teammates that are watching, boom, roasted. So let's start to dive into it. For the hidden ROI of Jamf and how to get there, first things first, let's define what we should be getting. We're going to talk about some of the expected ROI pieces, such as what's on the box, and then what's really between the lines. And then Amy's going to help us figure out how are we going to make some of these resources happen. So the story of how we all got here. At some point, we either didn't have management or we had a management solution in place that just wasn't great. We're in this wild and lawless wasteland prior to deploying management. And then we got a jump start. We saw the light, we got Jamf, we got the jump start, and then immediately the next day, we got all of the ROI that we could have ever possibly wanted. It was sunshine and rainbows, we were Jamfing. As much as I wish that was true, we know that it's not quite there. It takes a lot. The results that you get from Jamf are on a spectrum. So what does that spectrum look like? Let's take a look at what is on the box so we can talk about, regardless of where you are in your Jamf journey at your organization, we hope everybody on this presentation is going to see, oh, wow, other companies are getting that. I want to be able to get that. And then have the resources in your back pocket to be able to get there. So some of the ROI pieces that are on the box, and I took this right off the Jamf ROI calculator. These are all things that we should really be expecting, and I want to dive into these topics to share our perspective on what our clients have experienced related to these. Hopefully, if your organization is not reaching these goals, you'll have more resources at your disposal to achieve them. But the hidden ROI that we're also going to be talking about is between a lot of these numbers. So reducing the time spent provisioning, reducing time installing, updating applications, help desk tickets. Let's pop the hood on a couple of these things and just talk about what's possible out there. I think the biggest thing, the provisioning process, we're all attracted to Jamf because we needed to get the time it takes to provision a device down. Now, for us at Rocketman, we've worked with a number of clients where we ask them, how long does your provisioning process take? And I think it's pretty average to hear 3, 4, maybe 5 hours, and they know that that can be better. I've talked to clients that are also taking maybe a whole day, maybe 1 to 2 days to provision a device. Now, it's all a spectrum, but I've seen the binder that they slide across the table when I ask, what does your provisioning process look like? And it's 6, 7 pages, almost 40 manual steps, a real white glove approach. Now, if this is what your provisioning process looks like, I hate to break it to you, but you're probably in the pit of despair. Nobody wants to be in the pit of despair. So let's talk about what it can look like. If you're able to deploy a zero touch, maybe even a light touch deployment, we can shrink that down to a 1-page provisioning doc, 6 or 7 manual steps that IT doesn't even really need to do, such as putting in names, passwords, logging into a couple applications. But we very commonly see this get shrunk down to 20, 30 minutes per device. Now that's kind of the land of sunshine and rainbows. So if you're not quite there, definitely make a note so you can dig into some of these resources and figure out how you can get there. This next piece, we talk about it a lot. I feel like patching and updates is one of the most common reasons why a company like ours gets brought in, or why we talk about it with our various colleagues in the Mac admin community. We hear the term sneaker teching thrown around a lot. When I hear that, this is exactly what I imagine that looks like. Going 99 miles an hour through the office trying to implement updates. And this is obviously, it's not scalable. It can be a huge time suck. And it's also difficult from a security standpoint if you know that you need to deploy a particular version of a software right away to patch up a vulnerability. You don't want to be this guy. That's definitely, so this is one of those ROI pieces that they said we can reduce this time by 90%. I think we can still blow that number out of the water if this is what it looks like compared to what it can look like. The next easy piece that I think is, on the box ROI says reducing our help desk tickets by 15%. This is an interesting one. I think, by 15%, we can absolutely take care of that number, blow that out of the water. When help desk tickets are coming in, it can almost seem like the well runneth over. Weekend, holidays, there's no end to the help desk tickets coming in if they're just being handled on a one-by-one basis. But using Jamf, you can implement a help desk support model to proactively manage the issues that are coming in. For instance, if you get a ticket and you think this ticket is going to affect not just one device, but the entire fleet, well, let's go ahead and proactively nip that in the bud. This is a help support model that our Rocketman engineers use. If the issue can be fixed via Jamf remotely through a script, let's go ahead and document that workaround and put it into self-service. If we can predict the issue, let's go ahead and fix it on all computers. But reducing by 15%, we see help desk being proactively managed in a way that can get as close to eliminating it as possible. So the self-service piece that I talked about, that is one of the, I think one of the strongest pieces of Jamf in terms of ROI between the lines. We live in a world where users want to be able to help themselves. People want to get the answers to their questions immediately. And self-service is a really powerful tool within Jamf that you can empower your end users for that. The types of things that we're putting in self-service, applications that they can decide whether they want to use, something as simple as being able to connect to printers through self-service, and then the documentation for issues that we think are going to come up because we got a help desk ticket on it once. Sometimes those issues are a little bit more complicated to fix, and that's where you might be able to put a script in there. But self-service is really, it's like Lego building blocks. As you continue to build on it as an organization, it becomes a more and more powerful tool. Also, your users get used to using it, which we find improves the relationship just between help desk and the users. So if I'm starting to talk about the relationship between help desk and users, we're already starting to get into some of the more between the lines type ROIs. But there's a lot of things that I think, they're not necessarily on the box that are pretty easy to point out. The being in the wild west that we've heard about for something such as creating inventory spreadsheets. Not only is that going to be able to save you a lot of time if you're wondering where your devices are and you don't have to reference the holy spreadsheet, but if you can just pull up live inventory within Jamf, it's also from a risk mitigation standpoint, you're able to tell where those are. Standardizing patching and updates, that's another thing where you don't have to strap on your PF flyers. And while there's the time saving side of it, there's also the risk elimination side. If there's like the latest version of Big Sur and Catalina had the no click open PDF email phishing scheme where you didn't even have to click into the downloaded PDF to get the malware on your device. And they came out with a patch really quick, but if you have to go device to device to implement that, especially in the remote workforce that we're in right now, that can be a big challenge. You're probably in the pit of despair if you're still doing inventory spreadsheets or sneaker teching your tech. Another piece to this, we talk about the inventory spreadsheets, but even being able to do security audits. This is a screenshot from within Jamf Protect of the CIS benchmarks. CIS benchmarks are published by the Center for Internet Security, and they're the documented industry best practices for securely configuring IT systems, software, networks. Basically, a room full of smart people come up, what are the latest, greatest best practices that we need to adhere for? And they put this out every single year. Your organization can decide what they want to adhere to from a CIS level 1, CIS level 2 standpoint. And then this dash within Jamf allows you to see, well, who's in compliance with the rules that we put in place. So this makes being able to do security audits not something that you have to crack open every single computer and spend a ton of time doing. It's kind of being updated live for you once you build this out within Jamf. Those security audits, I bring those up because it can always be a time suck if someone from the C-level team or a high-ranking executive comes down and says, hey, we need to do a security audit. You don't usually ask why. One of the big reasons, though, is because for cybersecurity premiums, working with insurance brokers, I come from an insurance software sales background myself. Insurance agents these days are trying to operate more as risk managers. If you can prove that you have a safer risk for the carrier to take on, the insurance carrier, they're able to lower the premium a little bit. But it takes more than a couple handshakes and some hi, how are yous, and hey man, we're a really good, clean risk. You don't have to worry about us. A lot of times they'll put forms in front of directors of IT, Mac admins to evaluate the risk and ask questions. Are all the devices encrypted? Are passwords expiring every single or every 90 days? These types of questions, maybe they're implemented through most of your fleet, but as a director of IT or anybody asked to put this together and sign off on it, you want to be really positive that 100% of them are encrypted if you're going to sign your name off on it. More risk averse clients, they're oftentimes rewarded with lower premiums as insurance carriers look for ways to quantify risk mitigation. So this is by far my favorite slide in the whole slide deck. From a hidden ROI standpoint, I don't think anything shines as much as documentation standards. So documentation standards, we talk about these all the time with our clients, our colleagues, anybody that will listen to us talk about it. When you're referencing your scripts, policies, packages, smart groups, it's easy to forget about the critical details that you need to patch them, update them, maintain that process going from day to day. If you're implementing documentation standards, this can be simple. You remember what you need to put into the package, what you need to update. Without these standards, yeah, it can kind of knock on your sanity. Maybe you built it out last year and you feel really confident that, oh, I'll remember what I needed to update this. Fast forward to a year and you're like our friend Cameron here at the Chicago Art Museum, staring into the painting. And the closer that he looks at it, the less he sees, slowly becoming lost in the overwhelming nothingness of the object before you. Don't let that be your packages. Implement documentation standards. I want to talk a little bit more about why these are important, but first I'll show you an example of some of the standards that our team at Rocketman is using. So for example, packages. Each package needs to include, I can't even count these, the seven same items: who created it, who uploaded it, what else must be installed with the package, what's in the package, what version, where the package came from, and how to update the package. Or, a short acronym to remember this is WOO. Just remember that one going forward. But seriously, to talk about this, the documentation standards, not only do they help keep you sane, but let's say that you're getting a promotion and you're tasked with training somebody else to take over the Jamf instance. Well, being able to use this as a training resource is invaluable. Chris Shazi always says the only way to learn how to do Jamf is to do Jamf. We've worked with a number of clients that said the biggest thing that helped them take over and be good admins for uh, their Jamf environments was having the breadcrumbs and the notes and the annotation throughout to see what they needed to do to update their scripts, what they needed to do to update their packages. So not only can it help keep you sane, it's a really good tool for training others in your environment for the myriad of reasons that you might need to train others. And then, of course, there's always the proverbial, oh, in case somebody gets hit by a bus. We always hope nobody gets hit by buses, obviously, but being able to decentralize that information, again, it gives you the opportunity to get promoted, leave on good terms with your organization, go on extended vacations, and actually turn your phone off. These documentation standards, there's so much hidden ROI there. It is pretty tough to quantify. So just to review some of these pieces, a lot of these numbers, I think we're blowing these out of the water if you can really dive into the tools and the resources you have at your fingertips. The hidden ROI that's between the lines here, there's from reducing liability, reducing end user downtime, decentralizing siloed information. There's a ton of benefits that organizations are getting from building out a true healthy Jamf environment. Getting there can be tough though. I know that if you're looking to accomplish something within Jamf, there's a really good chance that somebody's done it before. The people, the community, just like this room here, are by far your best resources. On top of the Mac Admin Guide, on top of the Jamf guides, on top of hopping into Jamf Nation. So Amy's going to be joining us to be talking about how are we going to get there and how are we going to be utilizing the community. A couple of the things that I'll mention first, there's some really great YouTube channels out there. Hopefully, depending on how this presentation is received, this will probably be recorded and put on the Jamf YouTube page. All of the other, or I think most of the other JNUC sessions I know from previous years, those are recorded and put on the Jamf YouTube page. So if you're looking to accomplish something, someone else has probably done it. Rocketman Tech, we've started a YouTube channel because we've put together a number of how-tos, some whiteboard sessions just to explain what's going on with certain issues, and we've gotten some pretty good feedback from there. It's a small enough community that if you can track down the content creator, you'll probably have good success getting in touch with them. If you say, hey, I really like that JNUC presentation you did 2 years ago, I'd like to discuss with you more. I know our engineers are not shy of doing that. They've definitely reached out to content creators, and then they've also had the same happen for them. A couple other resources, and we have a handout. I think it's downloaded or pushed out to you guys somehow via this presentation here, but it's going to be linking to all of these things that we're talking about. We host a Mac admin meetup monthly where we have 30 to 40 Mac admins come on there, and we do a monthly keynote to talk about something that's in the industry, latest, greatest, or challenges, updates, things like that. 9 times out of 10, we end up taking these really sweet pivots where we go down the deep rabbit hole about something that somebody brings up. And I swear we learn more in these than we ever teach. So those are a great resource. If you're on a call like that, or if you're even in the Mac sysadmin Reddit forum, or even in some of the Slack channels where we'll have the links for these in that handout. I've learned from being in this industry that if you have a problem, somebody's going to know the answer, and they're probably going to be pretty happy that they're the one with the answer. So they will share that with you. Feel free to, lob those questions out there. And with that, Amy, I know I preemptively introduced you. I will go over to kick it over to you to discuss the Jamf community a little bit deeper.
Right on. Thank you, Eric. Your specific lens on how Jamf can embolden companies to onboard secure, systematized fleets, there's so much value there. So thanks for sharing that. We know that we can create higher functioning organizations with Jamf. So what is that je ne sais quoi about Jamf that helps you get there that doesn't necessarily have to do with the nuts and bolts and code behind it? So I think it boils down to community enablement and integrations. And really looking forward to diving into some of the ways that I break that down uh, for you here in digestible bits. I like to talk about Jamf culture just as the bedrock of everything we do. We have two values written by our two founders, Chip and Zach: selflessness and relentless self improvement. They can come on strong as values, but I think it's important to know, selflessness is not about martyrdom. It's about coming in for the good of the collaborative and really thinking about your customer, your colleagues, and the community that we're serving. And that self improvement piece is about a spirit of learning, of not knowing it all, of coming in and riding the waves of ambiguity that are product, that are technology, right? So, some of the ways that community and that culture is extended out to y'all, heroes, nation, JNUC. Here we are, right? So Jamf Heroes is a wonderful community, kind of a subsect of the community that is by invitation only, but it has a lot to do with just participating in nation and talking to your CS manager. And I'm not going to keep on talking about this because this session is the session you want to watch if you want to know more about Jamf Heroes. But I encourage you, if you're passionate about Jamf, to get involved with this program. You'll be on the very cutting edge of what's going on for us, and we will value your feedback in that space as well. So, moving on to enablement. It can mean a lot of different things. It certainly means a lot of different things at Jamf, but some of you are probably familiar with the Jamf 100 through Jamf 400, admin through expert. I myself am an associate, which is a badge of honor for me as a non-highly technical person. But I really want to focus on the online training catalog. Every customer has access to this and can search or easily find little bite-sized bits of deep dives, right? So I know for myself, when I was learning Jamf, how does this product work? I really needed to focus on what I was trying to solve in the moment. And so this can be a great resource for you to reference while you're in the middle of a workflow, just before you think you might need to reach out to your customer success manager. And it's also a great spot to assess with that community in mind and that feedback expectation, I guess, in mind, or hope, is if you see something that you need that is not there, let us know. We've got a team of educators who have worked in school systems who focus on this, and it's really meant to be something for you. So let us know how to make that better. And going on to integrations, two different types in my mind that we are really honing in on from a Jamf perspective. And one is that technical side. The integrations from a technical perspective live in our marketplace. And folks who are capable of those integrations and so much more live in our partner directory. But both of these are vetted resources that you can go to should you need assistance with your Jamf journey, with your Jamf environment. So moving forward, I'll just give you a brief run through of both. So the marketplace, again, this is your technical solutions. This is, we have a problem to solve and we want to be able to do it in Jamf, maybe natively. That's not happening. Where can we go? What do we need? We have this here for you. We also are always looking for those solutions that you need that are not yet available. Customer success is my Jamf background, but it's also something that I would really encourage you all to lean on and reach out to as you're looking for these resources, because we have a very small and mighty team, both in success and in our solutions partner team, and they work closely together to ensure that we get you what you need to make your company succeed with Apple. Moving on to the next slide, just to again point out that there are experts talking about these things at JNUC. There are three really great marketplace pieces I would highly encourage you to star and come back to and make some time to understand that a little bit better. It was newly launched last year, so some of you may have seen that as well, but it's only getting better and better. And last but certainly not least, this is where I live and breathe, the Jamf Partner Directory. If you need a human being or a group of human beings to help you with your Jamf journey, with your Jamf environment, this is the place to go. I help to manage this space. We have folks that have been vetted here. We have folks that we can say are trusted partners. And I think those of you who know Jamf well know that that is not something to take lightly. We really consider these folks part of our community in the same way that we consider customers part of our community. So help us drive this. Let us know what you want to see here. Whoa, what's this? Oh, Rocket Man. Interesting. I wonder who made this video. Um, I really appreciate the time with all of y'all to tell you from a Jamf perspective what it is we want you to, what are the vibes you should be feeling from us. If you're not, where to go. Um, I'm going to hand it back to Eric to take us home. But thank you for your time.
Oh,
And yeah, connect with us on LinkedIn. That's the next part, right?
that is exactly right, Amy. It's all about connection. So I think the overall theme from this presentation is the best resources out there for you as Mac admins, as Jamf admins, is the community. There's a lot of different ways that you can reach out to the community. I mean, JNUC is probably the biggest event of the year. Well, it is. It's the Jamf Super Bowl. So this is a great example of the community. But reaching out on Jamf Nation, there's forums out there where they're literally competing for points. If you can get on YouTube, there's a lot of great resources to dig in there. Mac sysadmin Slack channels. Rocketman has our own Mac admin channel called Launchpad. There's the Jamf software Reddit page, and finally our Mac admin meetups. The biggest resources are the people in this room. Find ways to reach out to the community. I guarantee you, if you're trying to do something, someone has done it before and they will probably be able to help you. So we've got the handout that we'll put in. I'm not sure how they're delivering it, but I'm sure you guys will get it with links to all of these resources. But to sum it all up, I want to say thank you to Jamf for having us. It's always a pleasure to be able to speak at JNUC. It's always a pleasure to be involved with Jamf. And thank you all for your time. And I hope everybody was able to take something away from this. If you have any questions, don't hesitate to reach out. Otherwise, enjoy JNUC week and go see some really, really good presentations. Thank you, guys.